Think you're smart? There's always someone smarter. And they use cold, hard rules to make you fail, even when you don't see it coming. Look back. In the boardroom. On a date. In those seemingly small negotiations. There's always someone winning, and you can't figure out why. You think it's luck. You think they were born gifted. The truth is far harsher. They just play by rules you've never seen. These rules don't come from kindness, not from morals, but from cold observations of human nature. Machiavelli wrote them down centuries ago, and today they still hold true. This is why some people always have the upper hand. They make you feel like you're in control, when in reality, you're just a pawn in their game. This video will expose the psychological tricks they're using, so you can see how you're being led. And more importantly, learn how to protect yourself from their hidden moves. If you think you're sharp enough, stay until the end of the video. Because once you see these rules clearly, you'll never look at people the same way again. And if you want to go further, hit subscribe to not miss out on strategies this sharp. Also, don't forget to leave a comment now. Have you ever met someone who always wins in every situation? Share your story. Part 1. The cold truth about people. People don't live by reason. They live by self-interest. They're driven by emotions. And deep down, they act to survive. You might think people work for a common goal. Wrong. They work for their own goals. This is clearest in the workplace. You work hard. You think your results will speak for themselves. But in reality, others don't need to be better than you. They just need to know your weaknesses. For example, you have a colleague. He's not great at his job, but he knows you're quick to show your emotions. When there's conflict, he just pokes at that weak spot. You get angry. You lose your cool in front of the boss. He doesn't need to win with logic. He wins because you exposed your weakness. This is how Machiavellians operate. They don't seek fairness. They look for cracks in your psyche, and they exploit them. What's the truth? No one is completely objective. No one is completely fair. Not even you. You favor those who benefit you. You trust those who make you feel good. You avoid those who make you feel uneasy. That's instinct. Machiavellians don't judge this. They observe. They accept people as they are, and they use it as a tool. Look at those who climb fast in organizations. Not all of them are the best. Many are just sharper at one thing: understanding how to influence others' psychology. A well-timed nod. A perfectly placed compliment. A silence that makes others uneasy. These small things add up, and they move forward. If you still believe people are fair, if you still think others treat you well out of pure goodwill, you will always lose. To win, you must face the truth. People are selfish creatures. People are emotional creatures. People choose what's safe for them first. When you idealize, you'll be betrayed. When you blindly trust, you'll be used. Those who understand this early live more clearly. Remember, Machiavelli doesn't urge you to become a monster. He urges you to drop illusions. See people as they are, not as you want them to be. This holds true in love, too. People love you not just for you, but for the emotions you bring them. When those emotions fade, so does the love. It's the same with friends. Some only stay when there's mutual benefit. When it's gone, they're gone. In politics, it's even clearer. Leaders don't tell the whole truth. They say what people want to hear, because power doesn't come from truth. Power comes from controlling beliefs and emotions. When you understand this, you're no longer naive. You start seeing the world as it is. You see the power games everywhere. And you realize, if you don't play, you'll be played. Core lesson. To win, take off the rose-colored glasses. Don't idealize people. Don't think everyone's like you. See the interests they pursue. See the emotions that sway them. See the instincts they can't hide. Once you see clearly, you can choose how to respond. Not in haste. Not with illusions. Not by walking into traps. That's the first step of Machiavellian thinking. Not to harm others, but to avoid being harmed. Not to manipulate recklessly, but to avoid becoming prey. If this part rings true to you, hit me to let me know you're still watching. Part 2. The rule of silence and observation. Those who talk a lot think they're in control. In reality, they're just exposing their minds. Machiavelli saw it clearly. The true controller is the one who speaks the least. Every word you utter is a piece of information. One piece might be harmless, but many pieces together paint a full picture, and others will use it against you. In a meeting, you can see this clearly. Some people constantly interrupt. Some offer every opinion they have, but the one who sits quietly, observes, and speaks just one sentence at the end. That person is often seen as the smartest in the room. Why? Because silence carries weight. Because observation builds power. Because one well-timed sentence cuts sharper than 100 scattered ones. Silence isn't just a tactic in work. It's a weapon in dating, in negotiations, in every power game. When you're silent, the other person loses patience. They start to fill the void. They say more than they should, and they reveal what they meant to keep hidden. This is a brutal principle of psychology. People hate emptiness. When there's silence, they feel compelled to fill it. And in their haste, they expose their vulnerabilities. You just sit there, observe, take note, and stay silent until it's time to strike. Information is a weapon. The one who holds the most information is the strongest. The one who talks the most is often the weakest. Silence doesn't mean passivity. It's a strategic act. It gives you time to read the situation. It gives you the chance to see what others miss. In dating, silence makes the other person uneasy. They wonder what you're thinking. They guess, and that guessing makes them lose control. In negotiations, silence makes the other side nervous. They fear you're backing out. They fear you're planning another move. They often concede just to break that silence. But remember, silence only has power when you truly observe. Not just sitting quietly for no reason, but collecting data, reading body language, watching eyes, listening to tone, noticing the slightest shift in attitude. That's how you build a psychological map of the other person. That's how you know when to make your move. Machiavelli didn't believe in speaking to prove yourself. He believed in saying little to maintain the upper hand. One sentence, delivered at the right moment, can change the game. If you want power, learn to be silent. If you want control, learn to observe. And if you want to win, learn to hold information. Silence is your shield. Observation is your sword. Together, they form the ultimate strategy. Don't fear silence. Use it as a tool most people never dare to wield. So, what do you think? Is silence more powerful than words? Share your thoughts in the comments. Part 3. Exploiting desires and fears. People have buttons. Buttons are what they crave, or what they fear. A Machiavellian doesn't need to control everything. They just need to press the right button. That's enough to manipulate. An employee might be smart, might work hard, but if they fear losing their job, the boss can pull the strings whenever they want. Another employee is ambitious, wants to climb the ladder. The boss can dangle a carrot, a promise, a fake opportunity. They'll still chase it. Both are tied down, not by chains, but by fear and desire. This is the tactic of power. No need for force. Just trigger the right emotion. It's the same in families. Someone fears loneliness. Just hint at abandonment. They'll accept unfairness. Another craves recognition. Give them a bit of praise. They'll stay loyal, even if you don't deserve it. Everyone has a button. A Machiavellian just observes, just listens, just tests. They'll find the weakness. Want to persuade someone? Look at what they crave. Money, love, fame, power. Or look at what they fear. Loss. Isolation. Humiliation. Being forgotten. Those are the two keys. Desire and fear. No one escapes them. Not even you. Machiavellians don't dream. They don't believe in ideals. They believe in the mechanics of instinct. Want to be freer? Identify your own buttons. If you don't know them, someone else will find them and use them against you. A real-world example. A CEO manages hundreds of employees. They can't track everyone closely, but they know one thing. Everyone fears losing their place. Everyone wants to climb higher. With just those two levers, they keep the whole machine in line. No shouting needed. No need to be friendly. Just play with desire and fear. In a negotiation, if you know the other side fears loss, you threaten them with the prospect of damage. They'll concede. If you know they crave the deal, you dangle it on the table. They'll get impatient. Machiavellians never strike directly. They press the right button and wait for the result. But remember, this isn't just for you to use. It's for you to defend against. If you're not alert, you'll be manipulated by your own desires or by your own fears. Ask yourself, what makes you react strongly? What makes you lose control? That's your button. To avoid being led by the nose, you must see it clearly. Then, no one can control you. The next part is even more dangerous. It's the tactic of feigning weakness, the one that makes you drop your guard and then gets you flipped. Keep watching to avoid being fooled. Part 4, the art of feigning weakness. Machiavelli understood one truth. True strength doesn't always need to be displayed. Sometimes the greatest power is hidden behind feigned weakness. One of the most dangerous tactics is appearing harmless. When you seem non-threatening, others lower their guard. And when their guard is down, that's when the strike becomes deadly. Watch politicians in a debate. Many don't start with sharpness. They do the opposite. They deliberately show naivety, humility, even incompetence. When their opponent sees this, they underestimate them. And when they underestimate, they let their guard slip. In that single moment, the game shifts. In the world of investing, this is even more sophisticated. A business person might pretend to know nothing. Sit quietly, ask a few seemingly foolish questions. The opponent gets cocky, thinking they have the upper hand. But in reality, the other person is gathering information. When it's time to decide, the one feigning weakness has all the data. They act with precision, catching the opponent off guard. In personal relationships, this is even more common. Have you ever met someone who always seems to need you? Always asking for advice. Always showing dependence. You think they're weak. You think you're the stronger one. But sometimes, that's just an illusion. In reality, they're setting a trap. When you believe they need you, you start to show your vulnerabilities. You make decisions based on emotions. You let yourself be led. And then you realize they're the ones in control. The art of feigning weakness is dangerous for this reason. It not only makes the opponent lower their guard, it also triggers their arrogance. When someone believes they're in a superior position, they get careless. Carelessness is the root of failure. Machiavelli would say this: know when to appear weak to hide your strength. But more importantly, recognize when others use it against you. In reality, you can't always be openly strong. There are situations where you need to conceal your true ability. Pretend you're no threat. Let the opponent speak. Let them reveal information. Let them expose their plans. And only when you're certain do you strike back. One strike, minimal but decisive. Remember, the one who appears weak isn't always weak. The one who seems to need you doesn't always need you. Behind the weakness may lie cold calculation. If you're naive, you become the prey. If you're alert, you turn it into a tool. In dating, some people always seem vulnerable. You feel sympathy. You lower your guard. You share more than you should. Then you find yourself controlled by emotions. In negotiations, some act helplessly. They say they have no options left. They make you undervalue yourself. But when the deal is done, you realize they got what they wanted. The art of feigning weakness is a weapon. It can be used by you, or it can be turned against you. It all depends on whether you're awake or not. The key idea is clear. True strength isn't always shown through dominance. Sometimes the greatest danger lies in the frailest disguise. A question for you. Have you ever met someone who pretended to be weak but was actually calculating? Leave your comment below. Part 5. The Lever of Emotions. Machiavelli once wrote, "A ruler must learn to control the emotions of the masses." He understood. Crowds don't operate on reason. They operate on emotions. The wise don't need to control actions directly. They only need to control emotions, because emotions drive every action. Look at the modern world. Influencers don't sell products. They sell feelings. You don't buy the shoes. You buy the feeling of confidence. You don't buy the car. You buy the image of status. Those who hold power know this well. They plant a state of mind in you. You act as they want. It's the same in politics. Promises matter little. The feeling of safety keeps people loyal. A good leader doesn't need to prove the truth. They only need to sow belief. Belief is built on emotions. In personal relationships, this lever is even clearer. You've experienced a Cold War. Silent treatment. The other person doesn't speak, doesn't reply to messages, doesn't explain. You get anxious. You overthink. You torment yourself. And in the end, you give in. They didn't need to command. They just touched your weakest emotion. Fear of abandonment. When you give in because you fear loss, you've just been controlled. The danger of this mechanism is this. You don't see it as control. You think you decided for yourself. But the truth is different. You acted according to someone else's emotional script. In negotiations, this game repeats. One side pretends to be angry. Another pretends to be disappointed. You worry they'll walk away. You concede to keep the deal. This isn't a reason. This is emotional manipulation. Those who master this art don't need to say much. They just need to know which button to press. Ask yourself, how do you react when faced with silence? How do you react when someone withdraws their attention? Most people panic and make decisions against their own interests. The key point: no one is immune to emotions. But you can learn not to be controlled. First, notice when your emotions suddenly shift. Ask yourself, who's triggering this? And why? Second, learn to wait. Emotions flare up and then fade. Decisions made in the heat of the moment are dangerous. Third, practice turning the tables. Instead of reacting, make the other person guess. Let them feel uneasy with your silence. Others use silent treatment to weaken you. You can use it to make them lose control. The lever of emotions is a double-edged sword. You either master it or become its victim. Observe successful influencers. They don't sell knowledge. They sell the feeling of desire. Observe successful politicians. They don't tell the truth. They say what people want to hear. Observe failed relationships. One person always reacts with emotion. Another always controls with silence. You know who wins. The lesson Machiavelli left behind still holds true. Whoever controls emotions controls actions. Don't let others use this lever on you. Learn to turn it to your advantage. If you control emotions, you control the image. If you control the image, you control the situation. And ultimately, you control others. A question for you. Do you want to be the one pulling the strings? Or the puppet being pulled? Remember, all power starts here. Not money, not status, but emotions. If you master emotions, you master actions. You master outcomes. If this rings true to you, share this video with a friend. Someone who's being manipulated without realizing it. Part 6. Concealing True Intentions. Machiavelli warned, the wise never reveal their full plan. You might share a part, You might drop a few false signals, but the core must always remain hidden. In negotiations, the naive lay all their cards on the table at once. They think transparency builds trust. In reality, it only makes them predictable prey. The wise always hold back an unturned card, an undisclosed condition, an unannounced option. That's the leverage. Secrecy is the source of advantage. When opponents believe they fully understand you, that's when they're most likely to misstep, because they only see what you allow them to see. In politics, the strong always conceal their true intentions. A signed treaty might just be a performance. A diplomatic smile might hide a plan for destruction. In business, skilled investors never reveal their full strategy. They let the market guess. In those wrong guesses, opponents expose their weaknesses. It's the same in personal relationships. Many fail because they spill all their emotions. When you reveal all your fears, desires, and weaknesses, you hand over the keys to power. They know what makes you anxious. They know how to make you yield. They can press the right button to control you. In contrast, the wise stay silent. They don't tell everything. They don't expose their full mind. You might share a piece of the truth, but the most critical truth is in your hands. That's the only defense protecting you from being controlled. Concealing true intentions doesn't mean lying. It means controlling the flow of information. You decide who knows, how much, and when. When you master information, you master the situation. Conversely, when you spill everything, you're left hoping for others' kindness. And kindness is rare in the game of power. Remember, the winner isn't the most loved. It's the most unpredictable. The less predictable you are, the more dangerous you become. Others won't know where to attack you. They won't know when you'll strike back. That's the art of silence. That's why Machiavelli always emphasized secrecy. In a world where everyone shares too much, the one who holds back has the advantage. Try observing. The one who speaks least in a meeting often controls the room's atmosphere. The silent one never reveals their true intentions. Everyone else has to guess. And in guessing, there's always an error. Secrecy is a shield. Secrecy is a weapon. Secrecy is an advantage. The more you conceal, the safer you are, the stronger you are. A question for you. Which do you think is more dangerous? Feigning weakness, or hiding true intentions? Comment to let me know your thoughts. Part 7. Choosing sides and building silent alliances. Power doesn't exist in a vacuum. It always relies on alliances. A strong individual has limits, but a small, cohesive group can shift the balance. Machiavellians understand this clearly. You don't need to be the strongest. You just need to choose the right side. In politics, alliances are the lifeblood. A weak prince can hold the throne with a few loyal allies, not because he's strong, but because he knows how to share benefits and maintain loyalty. In a company, this rule is even clearer. A lone employee can't challenge a superior, but 3 or 4 aligned can exert real pressure. They don't confront directly. They coordinate in silence. They share information. They form a block that's hard to break. Strength comes from unspoken consensus. No one in the group needs to bear all the risk. They spread the danger. They share the power. This is a survival strategy in any organization. You can be skilled. You can be hardworking. But if you stand alone, you'll be crushed. Personal power isn't enough to survive. Machiavellians know how to choose sides. Choosing the right side is survival insurance. In friendships, this is present too. A group of friends doesn't exist on pure goodwill. It exists on an unspoken hierarchy. There's a leader. There's a supporter. There's a secret keeper. If you choose the wrong side, you're out. Not because you're wrong, but because you're isolated. Machiavelli said a weak prince must rely on those stronger than him, not to become a slave, but to leverage the strength they hold. You don't need to be loyal to everyone. You just need to be loyal to the right people. An alliance doesn't need to be public. The more discreet, the stronger it is. Silence is the perfect cover. A nod, a short message, a handshake. That's enough to solidify the bond. When a crisis erupts, silent alliances decide who survives. It's not the strongest who endure. It's those who know when to lean on others. In negotiations, you need a side too. A lone party is always at a disadvantage. But if you have supporters, you create weight. The pressure is no longer individual. It becomes collective. The other side will have to yield. Alliances are the tool for creating balance. You don't need to control everything. You just need to control a critical piece. From there, you force others to account for you. That's the art of covert power. A smart alliance never shows its face too soon. It's built in the shadows, through small exchanges, through trust slowly earned. When the time comes, it erupts into collective strength. If you want to survive in a competitive environment, don't stand alone. Choose a side. Build silent alliances. And remember, you don't need to be the strongest. You just need to pick the right alliance. If your side wins, you win. If your side loses, you're out. Simple but brutal. So the question is, do you know which side is truly strong? Do you know who's worth aligning with? That's the test of every Machiavellian's cunning. Remember, collective strength always surpasses individual strength. Those who understand this rule will never be swallowed up. Those who forget it will always be alone, and then vanish from the power game. If you want to learn more about building powerful alliances, hit subscribe now. Part 8, When to be Ruthless. Machiavelli didn't praise cruelty. He pointed out that it can be necessary. Sometimes a swift cut causes less pain than 1,000 small scratches. Ruthlessness at the right moment isn't about destruction. It's about cutting out the rot to keep the body alive. Look at a company. A CEO fires someone. Ruthless, it seems. But if they don't, the whole team gets dragged down. Then, the damage spreads. The real evil is hesitation. When a leader wavers, everyone pays the price. It's the same in personal relationships. A toxic relationship. Prolonging it means killing yourself day by day. Ruthlessness is ending it decisively. No more messages. No turning back. Cut clean, retreat, preserve your strength. The weak confuse kindness with spinelessness. They think softness is morality. In reality, it only erodes their power. A Machiavellian knows the line, knows when to smile, and knows when to slam the door shut. Calculated ruthlessness is not the same as brutality. Brutality is impulsive, uncontrolled, unstrategic. Calculated ruthlessness is a precise move. Clear goal, right timing. Not overused, but not hesitated. Remember, the strong don't need to be ruthless every day. They only need to strike once at the right moment. Their silence alone keeps others on edge. But when they act, no one forgets. In a power environment, hesitation signals weakness. When you shy away from causing pain, others exploit it. You fear tarnishing your image. Others use that pity to control you. They turn your kindness into chains that bind you. Ruthlessness is how you break those chains. It's a cold message that you're not afraid of small losses to preserve greater power. One clean cut, and everyone knows your boundaries. They'll think twice before crossing them. The key? Ruthlessness must be clear. No beating around the bush. No room for misunderstanding. Once you decide, be decisive. Decisiveness builds credibility. Others may hate you, but they will respect you. And in power, respect matters more than affection. Affection shifts. Respect endures. Calculated ruthlessness protects order. It keeps you from being dragged down. It sends a message. You're someone who acts. Never forget. Fearing ruthlessness is a sign of weakness. Using it recklessly is foolishness. Knowing when to be ruthless is power. Don't look away. Because the next part is the ultimate strategy. How to win without fighting. Part 9, the art of controlling your image. Reputation matters more than truth. Machiavelli stressed this repeatedly. People don't need to know who you are. They only believe in the image you create. Truth can be forgotten. But a first impression lasts. The image you control is your weapon, an invisible wall that dictates how others treat you. Steve Jobs is the clearest example. He failed many times. He made big mistakes. Yet the public still saw him as a genius because he built an aura around himself. Black turtleneck, commanding voice, visionary messaging. That wasn't accidental. That was a strategy. In today's world, your image lives online. Social media turns you into a brand. Every photo, every status update, they're bricks in the wall of your image. You don't post for fun. You're planting perceptions. You're shaping how others judge you. It's the same at work. It doesn't matter how much you do. What matters is what people see. A quiet worker is often forgotten. Someone who creates an impression is remembered. Perception outweighs results. That's the paradox of power. It's no different in love. The image you maintain determines how they treat you. If you let your image seem weak, you'll be undervalued. If you craft an image of being irreplaceable, you'll be desired. Controlling your image is controlling the game. Don't let others define you. You must be the director. You must choose the role you play. This isn't fakery. This is self-defense. If you don't do it, others will do it for you. Reputation is a shield. When it's strong, you're protected. When it's weak, you're vulnerable. A single rumor can ruin a career. A consistent image can block bad news. That's the power you must seize. The lesson here is clear. Truth lives only within you, but others live by their perceptions. If you want power, seize those perceptions. Don't let them form on their own. Design them. Be proactive, consistent, sharp. You need to ask yourself, what do others remember about you? An invisible figure? Or someone they can't ignore? The answer lies in how you craft your image. So I want you to think right now. If there's one image people hold of you, what do you want it to be? Comment your answer, because that's where you start controlling the game. Part 10. Winning without fighting. The pinnacle of power isn't in the battle. It's in ensuring the battle never happens. A Machiavellian understands. The most dangerous opponent is the one who doesn't need to strike, because they've already made others abandon their plans before acting. What is true power? Not defeating every enemy, but making enemies too afraid to even consider resistance. Recall a historical example. A king didn't need constant suppression. He sowed just enough fear, enough to stop any would-be traitor in their tracks. This invisible control is stronger than any weapon. In personal life, this still holds true. You don't need to shout or show off. Just your presence makes others wary. A single glance is enough to make them anticipate consequences. An atmosphere is enough to make them think twice before crossing you. This is the art of winning without fighting. When your silence weighs heavier than any threat. When your opponent loses in their own mind, before any action even takes place. The naive think power is about fighting. They flaunt their strength with force or words, but they don't realize. Every time you resort to force, you've already failed, because you're forced to prove yourself instead of being acknowledged. Machiavellians choose a different path. No noise, no showboating. They simply sow fear, sow certainty in others' minds, until all resistance fades away. Observe yourself at work. You can be firm without shouting. You can assert yourself without arguing. Just maintain a cold demeanor and let no one cross your boundaries. In relationships, a Machiavellian doesn't beg for respect. They create the sense that losing them would be a great loss. And this keeps the other side on guard. Winning without fighting is the highest level. It makes you the center of power, not because you fight better, but because others don't dare confront you. This is the logic of deterrence. You don't need to fire a shot. Just make others believe you could, and that the cost would be too great to bear. A smart leader sows just enough fear. Not oppression, not torment, just enough for others to set their own limits, so they don't need to intervene much. Control comes from the mind, not the whip. You can apply this too. At work, in love, in any relationship. Create an image that makes others think carefully before crossing you. True power is making others surrender in their thoughts. Before the fight even begins, you're already the victor. If you find this part valuable, share the video. Spread these modern Machiavellian strategies. Conclusion. We've just walked through 10 Machiavellian rules for modern life. Each rule aims at one goal: understanding people as they truly are. Understanding how they think. Understanding how they act. But remember, these strategies aren't for manipulating others. They're tools for recognition, for protecting yourself, and for using selectively when needed. You'll find, when you understand the rules of the game, you're no longer easily led. You see the psychological tricks around you clearly. You know how to safeguard your interests. Each rule, from silence to exploiting fears to building an image, holds value if used wisely. If you don't understand them, they can harm you. That's why recognizing before applying is the most important step. Modern life is a power game. At work, in love, in every relationship, those who master the rules always have the edge. Now, I want you to think. If you could choose just one Machiavellian rule to apply today, which would it be? Comment below. Share your experiences and perspectives. And if you find these strategies useful, hit subscribe to the channel. If you want more videos on dark psychology, share this video with friends, so they too can recognize and protect themselves. Remember, true power isn't about controlling others. It's about controlling how you see the world, controlling how you respond, and controlling how others perceive you. Apply it right, and you'll become sharper, more awake, and no longer easily fooled. One final question for you. If you could pick just one Machiavellian rule, which would you apply first? Comment to let me know. Let's learn together how to observe, recognize, and master the game.